Ready, Kevin? Who wants to come in first?
Saying nice hairdo.
Come in. Are you done?
Yeah.
At the top of the show, Harry has to kind of show the audience that the shop has seen better days. It's a trick, and the actor has to pull it himself. But he has to do it in such a way that the audience can't tell that it's a trick. All he has to do is pull the shelf a little bit away from the wall. Let him fall. Something like that. When he puts the shelf back together, he cuts his hand and has to go in the back room. That's when Sammy shows up. Looks like I gotta trim the top of that. I was thinking right there. It's supposed to look old. Oops. It accidentally got torn. Can get taped back together.
What kind of tape would you use for a job like that?
Well, he'll use cellophane tape, but it's so long ago that it would be old and turn brown, so we're going to use brown cellophane. And we'll tape it back together like that.
Very nice.
So what are you doing now?
We have marks on the paper cutter in form of purple spike tape to show how big we want to cut the gel to fit a certain gel frame. At the moment it's 7.5 by 7.5 inches, so I don't have to measure each time. I can just line the gel up with the spike mark and then cut.
Disasters happen backstage. Even though this is the perfect stage crew, it's really not always perfect.
The wood we used for the long pieces, over
Right.
10 feet, supposedly they were straight when they were bought, but when they got here, they were terribly warped.
So you have a pretty bad warp. Oh yeah, it's up off the ground.
Yeah,
Even
with
with
all
this
the
weight on it. So what are you going to do?
Well, we forced it into place one support at a time, trying to minimize the damage.
Right.
Twisting it as we screwed it in, hoping that the
Right.
screws would hold it in place correctly. And then put on the plywood, hoping that that would help it, and put all this weight on it.
So Kevin's jumped in to lend a hand here while Jesse's looking for some more screws. And he's going to tighten this down. I have a question for you. Why... The board on this flat, Kevin, seems to stick out over an inch. It overlaps the flat itself. What's going on with that? What's the deal?
The reason we're doing that is so that this board can mask the board at the top there.
It's still pretty racked. It's warped along its length. It's probably a little bit better than it was. Maybe we should have gone back to Home Depot and gotten a couple new pieces. But I'm pretty sure when we get it up in place in a couple minutes, it will lay flat on the board that's already there, which is 1.5 inches thick and pretty straight itself. We'll screw it down and hope for the best.
What's up is same thing as yesterday. I'm just patching more lights into the board so that I can start focusing and creating cues.
So what was the problem you just experienced?
Well, I just experienced the problem that my lights weren't turning on.
It is rather nice to know that kids in future years will see this in his class. It's a little scary considering what we're doing. I have to repeatedly tell the camera, hang on, don't use that. I wasn't wearing my safety goggles. Or, don't show this. You're not supposed to do this.
I'm kind of sad it's the last day because I had a lot of fun and lots of tears.
And you don't really think about the people who spent time on that set and what they do unless you are a part of the whole set building process.
Here's the backstage entrance for Sammy and Lenny. In scene 2, Sammy needs a jacket, and it sits right here on this coat hook. It's a little dark back here, but there are a couple safety lights to make sure there's enough light the actors can enter and exit without tripping. Ready or not, it's opening night. I'm sitting in Papa's chair in the Wallman Brothers hat shop. No one has sat in this chair since Papa died over 15 years ago. But during the course of the play, not one but two people actually have a seat in Papa's chair. We thought you might like to see a little bit of the show.
A very cutie, and what a cutie. Tissue paper, huh? You see that? You look like a cop right in the nose. What's this one? You see that? Oh, I showed you the... Harry! Well, I got another one.
Don't move! I got a gun pointed right at your head!
Harry, I know we don't get along as well as most brothers, but this I didn't expect.
It's business. Stetson. I got a call yesterday. They're taking away the line.
What?
You heard me. Sammy, I'm 52 years old. What have I got to show? I'm running out of time to make a change here, so please don't give me a whole spiel.
This is a partnership. And in a partnership, one partner can't sell. Only two partners can sell.
Don't quote law to me. I'm going to look for a buyer, and if I find one, your signature is going on that contract.
Over my dead body.
And if it doesn't, I'll shut the store up and walk away from it. Don't think I won't.
Look, Harry, don't get excited, all right? Look, all I'm saying is, it would be a shame for the family to give up on Papa's business after all these years.
By the end, even Papa gave up on Papa's business.
How long have you known he was coming?
Someone offered $30,000 for the store. I was worried about getting the place in order. I wasn't worried about calling you.
You know, I bet that he's the one who arranged for us to lose the Stetson line. I bet you.
Please.
No, I've seen it a million times in the booze business. The biggest retailer uses his leverage with the distributor to squeeze the little guy out. Yeah, Lane comes around here, sees we're in trouble, and he offers to buy us out for a song.
Sammy, you're not going to talk me out of this with some cockamamie theory. He offered $30,000. If that's a song, it's a pretty damn good one for a crappy little store. Oh, Jesus, That's Lane. Just behave yourself, won't you? Please, this is important to me.
It's important to me, too.
Danny, please. I discussed the terms with Mr. Lane over the phone. They're acceptable to me.
Harry, I don't like this, all right? Tell me something, Mr. Lane. Do you plan on keeping the store open?
Our dad used to work for Mr. Lippman as a hat designer. But that was many, many years ago. Very distant.
You knew who he was?
I didn't know. I suspected. Lippman took over Canarsie Stetson 15 years ago. That I knew. I was hoping Lenny Lane wasn't Lenny Lippman, but to tell you the truth, I was just as happy not to find out for sure.
The future of the store that my father built with his own two hands for his sons is very important to me.
I have been very fair, forthcoming, and generous with you. And let's not forget patient. I told you the place is worth something to me because I can bring the Stetson line back. But to anyone else, it's garbage.
Does he think the Waldman brothers would touch his contract with a 10-foot pole?
I can't believe you! However many times something hits you in your face, if you don't want to hear it, you don't hear it. I want to sell, Sammy. I want to sell.
Someone else will come along. You cannot sell to Lippman.
Not Lippman. It's Lippman's son.
Yes, and we're Max Waldman's sons. Our bones, our blood come from him.
I don't want to talk about blood. I want to talk about you signing the contract.
Well, that's Partners by Paul Bogas. Partners ran here at the Fells Point Corner Theater in Baltimore, Maryland, in August and September of 2004. We had a great time bringing it to you and showing you some of the hints, some of the tricks to make a show perfect.
I like opening oysters and looking for a pearl, you know. I just want that pithy, witty.
Don't be afraid to take that big step backstage.